Serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is the man who ate the town.
Hey, folks, and welcome to episode 205 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This is for the week of July 12th through the 18th, 2021. My name is Tim Beeman.
My name's Ray Morgan.
And we're opening the recipe trunk. Now, I tried something new last time with a different sound, and the reviews I got were, it was okay. So I went back to the old standbys of what we had. The reason I did that, though, truthfully, trying that is because I recorded that one at my house. And I didn't have all my normal sound effects with me, so I tried to make something new, and I liked it.
You know what you tried to do? You tried to put new Coke out.
I did. I tried new Coke, and the
audience wouldn't stand for it.
The audience said, no way, forget it. So
you bring that classic Coke back. Yes, you do.
Yeah, so we brought, it's open now, so I have to close it to open it back up.
Right. There you go.
There you go. So there you go, folks.
I am glad we finally accurately named it the recipe trunk.
Yeah, that's what it sounds
because clearly that's not a little box. That's a big. They can't see it like we can, but it's big. That's
true. Yeah, it's over in the corner. One day we'll take a picture of it whenever we make it up. So we are recording this episode of The Man Who Ate the Town in the Less Desirable Studios in the lab at Industry Hill. We are practicing social distancing and using Zoom, sponsored by Bull's Tavern. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcatchers like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and others like that, we'd appreciate a like, a follow, a rating, and make sure you hit the subscribe button so you know when the newest ones are out. And if you're listening to us on the Triad Podcast Network, welcome and thank you. This episode of The Man Who Ate the Town is brought to you by Mojito Latin Soul Food, your go-to Cuban and Latin-inspired restaurant. Their Cubano, let me say it again, their Cubano sandwich, it's their Cuban, is hands down to me the best sandwich in town. All the flavors that you want with, oddly enough, not cheap, but the least expensive ingredients, just made the way that Michael grew up with. And he likes it that way, and so do I. Mojito Latin Soul Food does reservations takeout, and they have a rather large outdoor patio. And they do deliveries to surrounding businesses like Fiddle and Fish, Broad Branch, and Wise Man, and others. So check them out on their Facebook page and Mojito Latin Soul Food. Still, almost everybody's hiring. Go get a job. And speaking of
you want to work?
Yes, that's right. Speaking of that, due to staffing, Jimmy the Greek, in a post, the first one they've made in a while, said that they are scaling back hours to Monday through Saturday, 7 to 3. I don't know what their hours were before because they posted so little. So I don't know how scaled back that is. Anyway, now you know. They're scaled back. So if you were going to Jimmy the Greek on Sunday, no dice. If you were going to Jimmy the Greek at 3:15, no dice. 7 to 3. That's them.
Adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
A lot of restaurants, pretty much, I would say half to 3/4 of the town, restaurant-wise, were closed for the holiday week. Both Delicios and Kermit's are still on vacay and will reopen on Thursday. So here's my question to you, Ray. If we were in a location, say like Charlotte, Atlanta, New York, Philly, Miami, whatever, basically tourist destinations, would half the culinary community close up for an important holiday week like that? Is that unique to our town?
It seems like you would expect that they might actually extend their hours to accommodate larger than normal or larger than either average kind of crowd.
Yeah. Now, I'm not knocking the restaurants for taking a break. and I know our town isn't the bustling location that other places are. But it makes it hard if you have family or visitors or whatever coming to town for that week. Yeah. Spend time together, all that. But I don't want to be around those same people all the time. So it's not like we don't get hungry and want food this week. If one or two places did it, I probably wouldn't think much about it. But when literally half the culinary community disappears for a week, that's annoying, really. Again, I support the time off for the restaurants. It just doesn't work well for me because, you know, I'm special and all that. So
right. They should cater to you.
They should bow down to me.
No pun intended.
Yeah. On the other side of that, Boondoggies is open full press this week, according to their Facebook page. So they're not short-staffed. If they are, they're going all the way from 11 to 7 instead of 11 to 3 like they have been. So maybe they got some people, I hope.
It does seem odd that so many restaurants would shut down. And at the same time, yeah, I get the need for the break.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's, again, same. There's two questions that we always ask. One, if we were in another place, would this happen during the 4th of July week? And two, is the fact that many, I won't say half, but a great deal of the restaurants in this town are owned by Greeks, is that, and I love my Greeks and I love all that, so that don't hear me wrong on that. But we just find it funny or interesting that no matter the style of restaurant, you can have Greek-owned restaurants in this town. Diners, seafood places, probably a Mexican restaurant or two, an Italian restaurant, you know, because Greece and Italy are just across the channel there, each other. Barbecue. So yeah, is that exclusive to our area, or is that also a nationwide thing?
I don't know. I've not seen communities like that just that many of the restaurants close at the same time. And again, 4th of July holiday, I know a lot of folks like to do things in the backyard, you know, do a grill thing, have family over. But there's a whole lot of families that prefer to just go somewhere and let somebody else do all the cooking and the cleaning, and they can just be there together and they're still having a good time. Yeah. But then nobody had to clean up the house.
Right.
Nobody's got to worry about, you know, what's Uncle Ralph going to do to the toilet this year? You know, it's all at a restaurant somewhere.
Right. And to be clear, I wasn't lumping the vacation thing with the Greek-owned thing. That was two different questions. But yeah, I understand all the reasoning behind the 4th of July week, and other people are going places. But see, I think that people going places for 4th of July week has scaled back, not just because last year's pandemic, but because just over time, and staycations are becoming more of a thing. And now there's less options for people to go to. But yeah, the question with that and the Greek owned thing, because many of the Greek owned places I know were open this past week. But is that a phenomenon that is exclusive to us in this area? Because it's not just Winston, Greensboro's that way, Yadkinville's that way, a couple of places. But I just didn't know if that was something that we see here only, or is that something from around the country? So it was more of a rhetorical question than it was. Do you know the answer to this?
I can give you at least this much. Back in the days when I was working for the phone company, putting together the Yellow Pages, which for those younger listeners was a book of all of the different businesses in town.
Yeah.
Before there was a Google. I know. You think they were back in the Stone Age. One of the things that, as a sales
2005 BG.
Right.
Before Google.
The restaurant industry across North Carolina was dominated by Greeks. There are particular industries where we do see a concentration of a particular ethnicity. And it's just kind of an interesting thing. In one of the things that you learn when you're calling on, say, a number of hotels is that there are a number of Patels who are managers and owners of such properties. Well, Patel, when you translate that from the original, I think it's the Hindu.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, it's an Indian
It means
name.
Innkeeper. Huh. So it made sense. When they came to this country, they assumed the name Patel to help indicate that that's what they do. They're an innkeeper. And we saw a large concentration of Patels in the hospitality industry. It just was one of those things. It was kind of interesting to note. It's like we see a lot of Greek-owned restaurants here.
Mm. Well, speaking of Greek-owned restaurants, I do want to give a shout out to the Michael family. Stephanie and I went to have breakfast at Mama Zoe Michael's restaurant on Saturday, and Chris, the patriarch of the family, happened to be there, and he came and sat with us and just called up a little bit and chatted about the family and all that stuff. It was just really cool. So shout out to Chris and the Michael family for just having a cool place to go. That feels so homey there. I mean, you see all the pictures of the grandkids, and all the pictures that you see generally are the extended family of the Michael family, and it's just cool to see all that. They take the family part really seriously, as if we didn't know that already. But yeah, it was a great meal, and just a good time to see him. So shout out to the Michael family for that.
I love the way they treat each other, their customers, and their community.
Yeah,
it really is. They're a testament.
They are, and they do such fantastic work for all those. Diamondback Grill is casual dining located in the heart of Buena Vista in Winston-Salem. It is a fantastic family-owned farm-to-fork restaurant that sources most of its ingredients from local farmers. Try one of their themed menu specials. I highly recommend Diamondback for your big and small events, a romantic dinner with your honey, or just go have a drink and appetizers and enjoy the ambiance and the welcoming decor. They are located at 751 Avalon Road. Find them on the web at diamondbackgrill.com and on Facebook and Instagram. Make reservations. Call 722-0006. Tell them that I sent you, of course. This week's Diamondback theme Thursday is South African wines, with the opportunity to purchase wines at cost. It's a $25 per ticket event, and that includes heavy hors d'oeuvres and a cash bar if you want more than just the wine tasting. Again, you have an opportunity to purchase these South African wines for what they would cost Diamondback. So that's pretty good.
That's a deal right there.
Yeah.
That's a deal.
Yeah. Also call 336-722-0006 for that event. Southern Spice Cuisine is coming to Bermuda Run. I don't know much about it yet, but I have called and left a message for them. Hopefully I'll have something to talk about in regards to them next week. It just scares me, Southern Spice Cuisine. Again, I don't need to know that I'm in the South. I don't need to be reminded. You know, I had that conversation with Chef Eric 2 weeks ago when, we had that conversation. And speaking of Chef Eric, Stephanie and I had our tasting at the Catherine Brasserie and Bar last Friday night, and we got to speak with Chef Eric. He's so soft-spoken, but a delightful person, really. And his food was amazing. Chef Eric's crew did a great job in preparing it, and Anna, our server, took such good care of us. She would come and explain stuff to us, make sure we didn't want anything. The water was never empty. The plates never sat on the table long. It was a really, really great service. And Natalie, the GM, who we spoke to as well, also made sure that all was well with us too. So that was cool. The whole team knocked it out of the park. So I know you want to know what we had.
Well, when he was here, you said, I'd love it if you just surprised me. Did he do that?
Oh, yeah. So here we go. We started with the oysters on the half shell, served with a house-made cocktail sauce that wasn't too hot, but hot enough. Just how I like a cocktail sauce. It wasn't runny. It was kind of thick and chunky, but it was really, really good. But the star of that plate outside the delicious Prince Edward Island oysters was the champagne rose sauce. So it was shallots and champagne and rose water, I believe. It was kind of thick and syrupy, but it was so good with those oysters. And it paired very well with the white wine that we had too. I don't remember what that white wine was. Stephanie knows, but I don't know. We then had our salad course, which was the salade roquette with baby arugula, lemon vinaigrette, cracked pepper, and Parmesan cheese. And there were also lemon slices to squeeze onto it to add even more citrus. It was light and crisp with bright lemon flavors. It was screaming summer in our mouths, and it was so good. Up next, we had the thing that Chef Eric and I talked about specifically during this conversation on this show, the steak tartare. Yep, the minced tenderloin coated with grain mustard and all that was topped with a sous vide egg, which made it, the sous vide part made it like a custard inside. It wasn't hard and not runny, but smooth and creamy. So you just get a little bit of it and go with it, and it was just so good. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so good.
With that came the Espelette aioli, which I'm not exactly sure what that was, but it was tasty. Pickled shallots and cornichons accompanied the beef along with charred crostini. So, yeah.
Well, that sounds fantastic.
It was fantastic. Up next was the escargot. So the snails were prepared in a cognac and garlic herb butter, topped with a small puff pastry. The snails were prepared so that when you took a bite, the butter just popped in your mouth. So it was like, it was not slimy or overcooked, and it wasn't hard and tough. They burst every time you would take a bite. The puff pastry created a cap to keep all the moisture and the flavor in and help create a nice texture around it. So yeah. Next
that really sounds excellent.
It was. Everything was great. Up next was the moule, which moule is the French word for mussels. I couldn't stop eating these things. They were in a soup-like sauce featuring tarragon, shallot, garlic, lemon, white wine, crushed pepper, and maître d' butter, which is an herb-infused butter. This was one of my favorite courses during this tasting, and I can say that about all of it, really. But these things were fantastic. Stephanie was trying to pace herself because we didn't know how much we were getting. I tried to do that, but really, I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop eating them. They was just, they were so
mussels,
good.
it's like, yeah.
And, sometimes mussels to me can taste like pea in a way. Very, what's the word? Like the pH levels are weird or something. But
very acidic.
Yeah, but these were not that way. These had a slight gaminess, but that's kind of what you want from a mussel. But they were not. Sometimes they're overdone, and you bite into them, and they like kind of break apart. And sometimes they're just slimy and nasty. Nope, these were perfect. Next came the North Carolina trout, which was pistachio dusted fish with very small. These things were cute. They were small salt and vinegar potato crisps. There was creme fraiche, bacon frisee, which are curled endives, and charred lemon. The pistachio dusting added some great texture here. The fish is something that I'm getting more and more into, and this was a great dish, and also came with haricot vert as well. French green
I'm sensing
beans.
an underlying water theme to your meal here.
Yeah. Eric sent out some bone marrow next for us to try. This is not on the menu. So, and I don't think Stephanie or I, either one, had it outside of like it being an ingredient, but he actually sent the bone and had like scraped this all and had it in the middle. And Anna asked us, the server asked us what it was like, and I said it was like meat butter because it was great, smooth, creamy texture, but it was like meat flavored butter. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Very easy to eat, but very savory, very meat heavy on that. But
Interesting.
yeah,
I've never had it served that way.
yeah,
What a treat.
it was. Yeah, there are pictures for these, so I'll send those to you, and I'll post them later too. Seriously, next was the chicken au poivre flambé. Poivre is French for pepper, basically. And there was plenty of pepper in this. The pepper came in a cognac flambéed mushroom cream sauce with herbed fingerling potatoes, arugula, roasted garlic, and a Bordeaux poached shallot that basically tastes like you were cutting into wine.
Oh,
Yeah, it was so good. It was so good. On a half chicken. So
wow.
all this on that half chicken, and this was my absolute favorite part of the meal. Again, I could say that about many of it. This truly was the absolute best part.
You know what it reminds me of, Tim?
What?
When you go and you see a movie with a friend who has already seen the movie, and they're like, this is my favorite scene. Oh, wait, no, this is my favorite scene.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, really, this is my favorite scene. Oh, wait, it's coming. My favorite scene.
And that could
That's you
have,
at this dinner.
yeah, absolutely, it could have been. But I'm telling you, all of it was fantastic. It came with tri-colored carrots as well. I actually didn't have any of those. So, how does all that sound for a tasting, Ray?
Man. That
But
sounds
wait,
phenomenal.
there's more.
Wait, you didn't hit the dessert course, did you?
No, but not even the dessert course yet. We had duck
God.
breast next.
Oh my gosh.
Seared duck breast
Wow.
with
He
sauteed,
pulled out all the stops.
yes, with sauteed turnip greens, berry and red currant coulis, which is a kind of a spread thing, and melted leeks. I'd never heard of that, but it's basically, cutting leeks very, very thinly, butter, oil, and just melting them down. And it's like a wad of leeks, but they did not have that the heavy onion, which leeks aren't necessarily heavy on the onion flavor, but they didn't have the large green onion flavor. It was just good stuff, and it was texture. You put it in your mouth, and it literally just sits there and melts in your mouth. So the duck breast. Sometimes, to me, duck breasts, as much as I love them, can be a little greasy. And these were not greasy. These were perfect. Cooked with a little crusty sear on the outside, getting a little bit of the not so sweet coulis on that savory breast was like a party in my mouth, truly. And
Man.
it was so good. So good. Then came the dessert course. So we had vanilla ice cream and orange sorbet, which made a creamsicle-like combination. That was really good. You would like this, a pot de crème, which is basically chocolate custard. and it was
You're right. You're right. I would
it
like
was
that.
it was topped with a creme fraiche and a chocolate lattice. So it was they on a plate had poured chocolate that's the hardening chocolate into like a lattice type thing, and then put it in the pot de creme. It was so good.
Oh, that's cool.
And then
That's cool.
the creme brulee, because it's a French restaurant, right? And you can't go wrong with any of those desserts. The funny thing for me about this was, after all that, I didn't feel stuffed. I felt satisfied, but not weighed down or overindulged. It could be that we were getting smaller portions and we were sharing. So it was
Right.
just a little bit of each one you were sampling. And but sometimes samples can get crazy. And while we had a ton of stuff to sample, it was so well done and timed perfectly that we didn't have time to think about that or even worry about it once we were done. And then Chef Eric came and sat with us, and it was a great conversation. We talked about my boy for a little bit, showed him my Coco Van picture and the peach things that I talked about last week or last time and you weren't here. But yeah, it was just awesome. He asked me to critique, and I couldn't honestly give him any bad marks. He says, now something's got to be. I said, truly, I don't have anything. The food, this tasting was some of the best that I've had from this kitchen. And this is the third executive chef and a pandemic that I've been through.
Yeah.
I think the Catherine or the Kimpton Hotel needs to make sure that they pay him well enough to keep him here. So thanks again to Natalie. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just to think, to cross from oysters to mussels to duck to tartare to chicken to
To trout.
escargot to trout. I mean, you've hit a wide swath of proteins there, and none of them prepared the same, and all of them prepared with an excellence. It's, as you're describing it, what I'm envisioning is a maestro in the kitchen orchestrating wave after wave of food, and you're just reveling in the experience.
That's exactly
Wow.
what it was.
What a treat.
Exactly what it was. And, this restaurant has always been, just as far as sitting in a restaurant in this town, it takes you away to another world anyway. Sitting in that restaurant is not like sitting in Winston-Salem. Sitting in that restaurant is sitting in France or sitting in a major metropolitan area. That restaurant screams, please do us right. And I think that they have. The chef. I loved Chef Adam, the predecessor. I was okay with Chef Ed, his predecessor. But Chef Eric, the food coming out of here it's très magnifique. That's the only thing I can say, really.
If you were to look across the restaurant spectrum, Winston-Salem, are there many restaurants that are at the Catherine's caliber now with Chef Eric?
There are a couple. There are, but it moved the Catherine from mundane to upper echelon, and that's not pricing. You can get more expensive meals, and there are places to do that, and I love those places. But it has moved them from mediocrity, just because like I said, I love Chef Adam, but I think that he just got burnt out. I think he got tired of it. And when the chef isn't in it wholeheartedly, the food's not wholehearted. And we know the number one ingredient in all food is love. And if you don't love it, then you're not, your food's going to show it, and the people will stop coming.
So there's a reason to be at the Catherine.
Yes, absolutely. Because it seems like he's hungry and wants to stay that way, reinventing himself and making changes. And he's got a menu change coming, so it's going to be good.
Truthfully, now I'm thinking I don't want to go and even see the menu. I just want to be able to say to the server, "Do what you did for the man who ate the town. Just surprise me. Just bring me something. Let the chefs surprise me. I just want to be delighted."
Would
you have picked escargot?
Maybe, because I like that.
Would you have picked trout?
No.
But your night would have been lessened without it.
That's true. Exactly true. Yeah. I remarked to my wife while we were sitting there, and I'll be honest, we were getting royal treatment. And I looked at her and I said, "It's good to be king." because it is. when you get that kind of attention, it's hard to step away and go someplace else.
Do you think the service you received was singular or the way they would typically serve?
I don't know how to answer that. I do know that it was set up for me for this because I had reservations for it.
Right.
And to the point that they wouldn't set anyone at the tables around us. So I don't know
if a little extra special, that is. Yeah.
Yeah. And our first wine was paired for us. And I believe part of the fact that they weren't seating people around us, because the hostess tried to sit somebody there, and Anna come over and says, "No, I need these two tables open." I think was because, not that it's anybody's business what we were doing, but there was a lot of different food coming out, and people were looking, and I was, I had my special light out taking pictures, and so it was, I think they didn't want me to be distracted because they knew I would be talking like I just did. So I think there's parts of it there, but Anna knew that it was for me, and Natalie came over and constantly checked on us, and it was a special thing, I believe. But I also I don't have any reason to believe that anyone else would have been treated any less than I was. Maybe
right.
Just not with all the, spotlight. And that's, I really could have done without some of the spotlight, but I'm not going to turn it down. So, it was there, and I'm like, right. So thanks again to
center stage.
Yeah. You know me.
We got 3 spotlights, turn them all on, right? Not just the center.
I'm not conceited. I'm convinced. And, I'm kidding. It was magical in all areas, and I was happy, and I hope that they get what they needed out of it too, because it was a trade. And it was a great tasting. But the point was that they wanted me to talk about it and put it out there. And like I said in the conversation with Chef Eric, I don't want to go in and just have one dish and base my putting them over on one dish. I wanted to, and I was perfectly fine. And that's what we got, was smaller portions, and we shared just so I could sample everything. Not everything. There were still other things we didn't have. I didn't have any steak or anything like that, but
just the tartare.
Yeah, the tartare, but I didn't have any prepared steak. Yeah, it was.
Given the way he treated the duck and the chicken and the escargot and the trout and the mussels and the oysters, I'm pretty sure the steak would be pretty good too.
Oh yeah, I'm positive. So, yes, not because they treated me to a night of royalty, but because it was that damn good. I am highly recommending the Catherine Brasserie and Bar for everyone. Go in and have something. Try something. So, special thanks again to Natalie, Anna, and Chef Eric, and all the people over there at Catherine Bar and Brasserie for such a wonderful, magical, très magnifique experience. So,
in the time that I've known you, Tim, you have never sent us to a restaurant that sucked. Well,
right, and that's my thing.
Just saying it out loud.
I will talk good stuff about all the good places, and I will just not talk about the bad places. So, if you don't have anything nice, it's better not to say anything at all. So,
yep.
And just because I guess we need to caveat, just because I might not talk about them doesn't mean I don't like them. It's just probably not on the agenda for that day. So, someone that I do love.
How many restaurants do we have in Winston-Salem?
Oh God, 2 times half as many. I don't know. There's a shit ton.
Yeah.
So,
hundreds.
Yeah, someplace I do love is Carrabba's Italian Grill, located 587 South Stratford Road. This is no chain. This is a responsible family of restaurants. Carrabba's and their owner partners take the communities they serve very, very seriously. And for us, Daniel Butner is Saw the Earth. My parents went there for their anniversary, and they loved him. He loved them. It was amazing. Carrabba's did announce their Summer Selects features, which includes a new dish, filet mignon parmesan. I don't know how I feel about that yet. I do want to, Daniel, I want to try the filet mignon parmesan. And the Tuscan grilled ribeye, which my joke last week was, how do you Tuscan grill a ribeye? Get extra Tuscany on there, please. So,
is it actual dirt from Tuscany that gets sprinkled?
Yeah, I don't know how that happens. And the Mahi Wolf, which is a standard dish there, but it's back. And again, I'm interested, Daniel Butner, in hearing about the filet parmesan. I want to try that. You can too. Go to Carrabba's.com, make your reservations, or order out. Both are okie doke to do. Providence of Winston-Salem, in cooperation with Hoots Beer Company, will be holding a special beer dinner on July 28th. It's a 5-course meal paired with 4 delicious Hoots beers. Starts out with sweet potato cake, then heirloom tomato and strawberry salad paired with a Q-berry summer ale from Hoots. Butter-seared scallop paired with the famous Hoots Gashopper IPA. Tomahawk pork chop paired with the equally famous Hoots ESB, which truly stands for extra special bitter. But Eric Swaim always said it was extra special Beeman, and I always said it was because he's one of the owners of Hoots, or one of the former owners of Hoots. I called it Eric Swaim beer. So they're pairing that with the Tomahawk pork chop, and then you have the Run pineapple bread pudding paired with Payne Road Stout. Again, the event is the 28th of July and is at the Tanglewood Manor House and has 2 seatings, 5:30 and 7:30. My awesome son will be involved with many of these dishes. Tickets are $65 a person and can be purchased via the website providencews.org. July 20th.
See, they're settling into Tanglewood.
Yeah, me too. July 25th through the 31st, the Winston-Salem Journal, the Greensboro News Record, and the Eat Drink Triad will have Eat Drink Burger Week is a week to celebrate culinary creativity, increase visibility and engagement with the local food and beverage community, and drive dine-in and carry orders with a little healthy competition. Participating restaurants across the Triad will prepare a unique and delicious off-the-menu burger available for 1 week only. Chefs will create an $8 masterpiece, and again, it's not on the regular menu. That will be vetted in advance to make sure that no two burgers are alike, because we want them all to stand out on their own. Patrons will eat, drink, and vote online for their favorite burger via a QR code. The champion will be presented with a trophy and bragging rights. Customers will be encouraged to share photos of their locations on Instagram for a chance to win a Yeti cooler. The Man Who Ate the Town is a media sponsor for this event. For more information, contact the Winston-Salem Journal or Greensboro News and Record at 336-727-7212. All right, so Stephanie and I got to try something else this past weekend and sit in on the guest chef series that
Something else from your tour.
that Sir Winston was doing. They're doing a guest chef series. This time around, we were treated to the delicious wares of award-winning chef Digby Stridiron. These were dishes with flavors from the Caribbean, specifically St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, because that's where he lives, I believe. Chef Digby did spend some time in Winston. I think he went to school here. But he started us with the Alcapurrias crab, which was delicious crab on top of a Puerto Rican style fritter with creme fraiche, chives, avocados, and a tamarind ketchup, which I believe is tamarind ketchup, but it's called tamarind, Tambrn. The savory ketchup with the crab was great, especially with the creme fraiche. So, you know, Stephanie loves everything fritter. So this was pretty cool. Next was the Mamba Shrimp Baby Radish. Mamba in the Caribbean is a spicy nut butter made from peanuts, sugar, and hot peppers. Now, this had a kick, but not too much of a kick. It was also served with a Carolina Ivory sauce, which is a play on Alabama white sauce. And I like Alabama white sauce, so I like that a lot, especially when you're dipping the shrimp in it. So, yeah. The next thing was the Bus Up Shot. It's turmeric braised black pearl trumpet foraged mushrooms, a green tomato, and ginger chutney served on Trinidadian flatbread. Nicely spiced and savory. This was a nice go-between as a warm-up for the pork dish that came next. So these were little bitty. This one was a little bitty. I say a little bitty. It was probably about 2.5 inches long in a triangle. Flatbread with all that stuff on it. Had great flavors. The turmeric gave it that curry flavor, because curries are big in the Caribbean as well. So a lot of British influence there, but which is Indian influence as well. But yeah, so that was really good. And then the pork dish that I mentioned was the Holy City Hogs jerk pork. Holy City Hogs is a world famous hog farm featured in many cooking and travel shows on television. This was done on Conagry and Penn rice grits with a peach chow chow, benet, which I believe is sesame seed based, and a coconut chutney. Coconut flavors were prominent, and the jerk sauce for the pork had more than just a little bit of kick, but it was very flavorful, very tender. The pulled pork was, you just pulled it apart and it melted in your mouth. So it was fantastic. Finally, we had the red grout guava. It's spelled grout, but pronounced grut. This was my favorite dish of the night. This is the dessert. I believe it was also Stephanie's favorite, and the owner of Sir Winston Simon. His whole table said that was their favorite dish too. Red grout is a tapioca and guava dessert. It's hard to describe the consistency, but it was served with a coconut anglaise, which is like a cream sauce. There was a pickled almond and cashew salad inside this as well, and strawberries. So, red grut is the signature dessert of the United States Virgin Islands. So, it was great to be able to, this is an American territory. This is our place, and so it was good to have all this stuff on top of that, and I really appreciate.
Hard to imagine what that would taste like.
The the last thing,
the grut.
Well,
I mean, it sounds amazing, but I'm like, I've never had anything that would allow me to synthesize some idea of how that would taste. But to hear everybody go, "Oh, that was the best dish of the night." Okay,
yeah. It was very. Well, I say very. It was sweet, but fruity sweet, not like sugary sweet.
Right.
The consistency, it's hard to explain without it sounding gross. But when you were a kid, did you ever play with tadpoles? Or not tadpoles, but fish eggs when they were in like ditches and all that stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you can imagine those being very small, it was like that consistency. So don't think of those things because that's gross. But it was that kind of, jelly-like, and tapioca, is very small, beady pieces. So that guava flavored, basically. And guava is, very sweet, like a fruit juice. Guava juice, anyway, is fruit juice. Not like one, it is one. But all that stuff with the pickled nuts, which is basically salt and vinegar and all that stuff, in this bowl with the cream anglaise inside. It was, I can't describe it. I'll just have to send you the picture. It
sounds like I just need to go the next time there's a chance.
Yeah. Find out if we'll find out if Chef Andre is going to put that on the menu, because that would be cool if he did. And I did talk to Chef Andre, and he said there are some changes coming to the way Clementine and Sir Winston are positioned. And when I know more about that, we'll talk more about that.
Good.
So thank you to Chef Digby, to Simon Burgess and his folks over at Sir Winston, and Chef Andre at Sir Winston for having us to try the food there. As far as the country spinner goes, nothing to talk about, as we had July 4th 2 Sundays ago and had a quick something at home this weekend. We will probably do one more week of France before moving on, because I know there's going to be a couple of things that we're going to definitely have. The ratatouille being one, and creme brulee we're going to do, and one more thing that I haven't decided yet. So we'll see when we get to that. And on the burger front, you didn't hear it, I don't think, but we are at 99 burgers on this list. And
one away.
Yeah.
I'm still predicting it's going to
looking on the webpage for that Southern Spice Cuisine or whatever it was, they had burgers on there, so maybe that will be added to the list. That could be number 100. But
100.
But I had no official burgers this week. Stephen and I were supposed to go somewhere Friday, but he got called away to a meeting, and I had clients anyway, so I just didn't. I had an unofficial burger at Papa Lee's that day because, again, I had clients here in the studio, so I had to go do something. So there it was. Food Holidays are sponsored by Washington Perkin Provision Company, located 301 West 4th Street You'll find a little bit of everything at the Perk. Chip Corner Deli to get your sandwich on the go. Fruits, veggies, meats, and dairy from local sources. Bingo Bango sodas, Wolfie's Custard, a wall of beer and wine, and more. Washington Perk is better than a convenience store, not quite a grocery store. On Facebook, they're Washington Perk, or at Washington Perk _DTWS on Instagram. Today is the 12th of July. It's National Pecan Pie Day.
Oh,
Yeah.
favorite kind.
Yeah, I like
Well,
it.
better if it's chocolate pecan pie. Just saying.
You know, I'm not. I'm more of a fan of the traditional pecan pie. I like that ooey gooey stuff. That's not necessarily chocolate laced. I think the chocolate takes over the taste, which for you is good.
It can.
Yeah.
But truthfully, a pecan pie has always been one of my favorites.
Yeah. 1859, William Goodale of Clinton, Massachusetts, patented a paper bag manufacturing machine. At one time, this was a very hot field of research, paper bags. So much so that even to this day, if I'm wanting to change the subject, I will say, hey, speaking of brown paper bag, and move on to whatever it is. On this day in 1927, the Green Giant,
Green Giant.
trademark was registered. In 1962, in Pennsylvania, a garbage dump begins to burn underground and the fire spreads to nearby coal mining tunnels. It was still burning in 1984, and it still may be burning now.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that thing just kept burning.
Yeah.
Crazy.
On the 13th, it's National French Fries Day. And I had left this on the sound pad for now a year.
Break some veins! Break some veins!
Because it's Beans and Franks Day tomorrow on the 13th.
Break some veins! Break some veins!
Yeah. In 1568, the Dean of St. Paul's Cathedral developed a method to bottle beer. Thank you to the Dean of St. Paul's Cathedral.
Thank you.
In 1921, Christian K. Nelson and chocolate maker Russell Stover agreed in Des Moines, Iowa, to produce and market Nelson's Ice Cream Bar. The name was changed to Eskimo Pie, ice cream coated with chocolate. And as I mentioned, either last podcast or the podcast before, they are changing, or they have changed the name of Eskimo Pie. It's no longer called that because they felt that was denigrating and demeaning. So,
Not sure how that one is, but okay.
yeah, I don't know either. I mean, they are Eskimos, right?
Right. And that's not a racial slur. That's just
Yeah.
who they are. They're Eskimo.
Yeah, I don't know. In 1926, Taggart Baking Company registered the Wonder trademark for bread and cake. In 1937, does the name Vernon Rudolph mean anything to you?
Vernon Rude. Not offhand.
In
Maybe.
1937, on the 13th, Vernon Rudolph sold the very first Krispy Kreme donut in what is now Old Salem. Yep.
That I recognize.
Yes, it's easy to recognize. In 1977, frustrated by an unsuccessful attempt to obtain funding for a water project, Kinney, Minnesota succeeds, let's get it right, from the United States and applies for foreign aid. In support, Duluth's frozen pizza king, Gino Paolucci, donates 10 cases of frozen pizzas. I believe that secession did not last long.
Yeah, maybe not.
In 1985, on the 13th, Live Aid rock concert was held to raise funds for famine relief in Ethiopia. Events were held in numerous venues around the world and broadcast live on TV. It is estimated that almost 2 billion people in more than 100 countries watched the live broadcast. It raised more than $280 million for famine relief. I believe if that happened in 2021, it would be probably closer to $700 million. Last year, the pandemic killed a lot of things. One of the things that it killed was the Vagabond Saint Society's plans for summer was because it was the 35th anniversary of Live Aid. It was we weren't going to reproduce all of Live Aid, but we were going to do a lot of the songs from artists that performed on stage. So that didn't happen, and I'm sad about that, but it wouldn't make sense now. So we just moved on.
Yeah.
In 2000,
the year that wasn't.
Yeah, the year that wasn't. In 2008, Belgian-based brewer InBev reached a deal to acquire Anheuser-Busch for $52 billion. This would create the world's largest brewer, which brands include Budweiser, Michelob, Busch, Rolling Rock, Labatt, Bass, Whitbread, Beck's, Corona, Lowenbrau, St. Pauli Girl, Stella Artois, a shit ton of them. I think Heineken was in there too. A total of over 200 brands throughout the world. Annual sales in 2013 were over 43 billion. So, yeah, in 2013, I mean, so they more than paid for that by now.
Yeah, they made their money back.
Yeah, and we've paid for it ever since too. Not that I would drink Budweiser, but some of those other brands, some of the foreign brands I would drink, but oh well. On the 14th, it's for one, there's a reason why it's Grand Marnier Day, not just because it's my favorite liqueur, my favorite. I always joke my favorite flavor alcohol is alcohol, but truly Grand Marnier is my favorite alcohol. But the 14th of July is Bastille Day, which is the French Revolution taking over, and that's their Independence Day. So Grand Marnier, which is made in Grand Paris, I applaud them for having their day on the 14th. And with that,
and what a great excuse to maybe have another French dish.
That's exactly right.
A little solidarity for freedom.
Yeah. Now the bad part is it's a Wednesday, and I will be recording Less Desirable, so I won't be able to do that myself, but other people should. I will have a Grand Marnier when I get home later that night. But it's also National Mac and Cheese Day on the 14th, so have a Grand Marnier with your mac and cheese. Yay.
That's exactly the pairing I was thinking of. How'd you know?
I know. I mean, because, great minds and all that. In 1853, on the 14th, the world's first World's Fair was opened in New York City. In 2020, on the 14th, some soft drinks may be hard to find because of an aluminum can shortage due to the high demands for products consumed at home. I don't know that we actually saw that, but there was talk about it. Funny that we had the Red Grut because the 15th is National Tapioca Pudding Day. Just add some guava and there you go. And it's also Gummy Worm Day. Yay, gummy worms.
Yay for the gummy worms.
In 1869, Hippolyta, Meg Maurice received French patent for his process to make margarine because Emperor Napoleon III had offered a prize for a suitable substitute for butter for use by the French Navy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Give me a choice between margarine and butter.
Yeah.
Butter every time.
Yeah, my choice would be not to have margarine at all. So I would just do without. A friend of mine left one of those big tubs of margarine in his trunk. Yeah.
Found it a year later.
Hadn't moved.
Looked like it did the day he put it in.
Yep.
Break some veins! Break some veins!
The 16th is National Corn Fritters Day. It's also, along with February the 26th, as we talked about on February 26th, or at least that week. National Personal Chef's Day. There's plenty around here to choose from. Hire one and do it. In 1439, in an effort to stop the spread of disease, kissing was banned in England.
That went real well.
Yeah, that didn't.
Let's see how long that ban lasted. In 3, done.
Yeah. In 1935, the world's first parking meters were installed in the business district of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. In 1967, Arlo Guthrie performed a new song, the 20-minute Alice's Restaurant, at the Newport Folk Festival. And even though it's about Thanksgiving, at least part of it, that's the day that he got in trouble. It's not about Thanksgiving, but I will always listen to it while I'm making my deviled eggs. In 19, huh?
It's a classic.
It is. I love that. In 1980, the Supreme Court, California Supreme Court, rules that Ted Giannoulis can appear in public in his San Diego chicken suit as long as it does not have the call letters of the radio station KKGB that first used it as a promotional gambit. In 2020, yeah. See, I
you
never
can dress up like a chicken, but you can't have their letters on you.
Yeah, see, I never associated it with a radio station. I always associated it with the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. In 2020, Walmart, Sam's, Starbucks, Kroger's, Kohl's, and Best Buy are requiring customers to wear masks. The 17th is National Peach Ice Cream Day. A couple of weeks too late for me. It's also Strawberry Rhubarb Wine Day.
Ooh.
I would like to try that.
I would too.
In 1821, the 17th, Spain formally transferred Florida to the United States. In 1861, Congress authorized the Treasury Secretary to issue the first paper currency called demand notes to finance the cost of the Civil War. In 1955, on the 17th, Disneyland opened in Anaheim, California. On the 18th, it's National Caviar Day. It's National Ice Cream Day, which is always the third Sunday in July.
Why'd you bury the lead? You start with the ice cream.
Yeah.
You don't start with caviar. You start with ice cream.
I should have. That was a presidential proclamation in 1984. President Ronald Reagan called it National Ice Cream Day. It's also National Sour Candy Day, which I can get behind. I like sour candy.
Yeah, I'm not as fond of the sour.
In 64 AD, the Great Fire of Rome began and burned for a week. Rumors accused Emperor Nero of ordering the burning of the city while he played his lyre, as 70% of the city was destroyed. Now, I have been watching Doctor Who, the 1963 version of Doctor Who, and there was an episode where they were with Nero. And now, again, I am quite aware that this is fiction, but they actually had
Doctor Who is
him.
fiction?
Yes. Yeah. The TARDIS.
Oh, no, it's real. It's real. You know, it's got to be real.
It's got to be. It's bigger on the inside.
Much.
They had Nero, the character there, and he wanted to redo the city, and the senators would not go along with it. And so he had the city burned because then they'd have to rebuild it. So there's some plausibility in the fact that he did that. Now, did he? I don't know, but certainly is plausible.
Well, I mean, was there and caught it on tape and saved it for all of posterity.
That's
so
right.
See, that's what happened.
That's exactly right. In 1818, on the 18th, A plague of grasshoppers devastated crops and everything green in Red River, Manitoba. In 1867, 36 inches of rain fell in 36 hours in Sauk Center, Minnesota. Yeah.
Over 3 feet of rain.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of water.
And a whole lot of wieners here. The Oscar Mayer Wienermobile is invented on the 18th in 1936. It is a giant hot dog on wheels, and it was invented by Carl Meyer, the nephew of Oscar, and it was built by General Body Company in Chicago. They are now a fleet of 6 of them still running about the country, and one is in this area quite a bit.
It's pretty funky when you see one. I've had a chance to spot it on the road. It's like, what am I watching? What is that?
Yeah. It's a huge wiener.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
it takes a second to register because it's like you don't expect to see a giant weenie driving down the road.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
Not to say that there aren't some giant weenies driving down the road, but then there's the Oscar Mayer mobile as well.
So true. In 1994, on the 18th, Crayola introduced scented crayons. In 2013, the city of Detroit filed for Chapter 9 bankruptcy. I believe they have mostly gotten themselves out of that. So that's your food holidays and history for this week. Special thanks to James Eagler at foodreference.com for making us chuckle, roll our eyes, talk about weenies in several instances.
Make them vain! Make them vain!
Sour candy and other stuff, Grand Marnier and Bastille Day and all that. The Man Who Ate the Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables podcast network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Less Desirables, just the Beer Dads, Fan Interference, Wheeler's Dog, Asylum Tales from the Devereaux Diaries podcast, and the brand new Beeswax Vinyl Daily podcast.
Ooh, a daily.
Daily. So every day, it's about 10 minutes long. It's a music history for that day podcast. So it takes me about 3 hours per episode, but I get it done. Yeah. It's the things I do for myself.
Thank you. I tell you.
There may be, like I said, there was that new podcast I was telling you about, but I haven't finished the details on all the things. It was originally going to be called Now Normal Chronicles Pot Daily because, I have that domain. I bought it whenever I decided people were starting to use new normal, and I hate that term. And it was like, it's not new, it's just for now. This is the Now Normal. So I went and registered that, and that's what happened. So you can find all those podcasts and the latest episodes on our network website and directory, tldpodnetwork.com. You also find social media links for each one there as well. This is a reminder to all the listeners, and it's good practice, not just now, but for always. Wash your damn hands. Wash with warm water and soap. Wash with that soap for 20 seconds or more. If you need to know how long 20 seconds are, just sing this.
The mountain is high, the valley is low, and you're confused on which way to go. So I've come here to give you a hand and lead you into the promised land. So come on and take a free ride. Come on and sit here by my side. Come on and take a free ride.
So that song was released 48 years ago today. Edgar Winter Group, Free Ride. Yeah, that's a good song. 48 years. So keep an eye on my blog and this podcast to find out more about food news and happenings around town. If you have any news, send an email to Tim or Ray or Leah at themanwhoatethetown.com. You can also contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter Instant Messengers. We appreciate if you liked us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are Man Who Number 8 the Town. On Instagram, we are The Man Who Ate the Town. And we invite you to call and leave a voicemail for the podcast or any podcast on the network. You can call 336-422-6862. That's right, 336-422-NUM. Leave a voicemail and we'll play it on the podcast. Again, 336-422-NUM, 6862. Well, my name is Tim.
My name's Ray.
And we are closing the recipe trunk. Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Bon appetit. Yamas. The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the Man Who Ate the Town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.